way that I can bring it to you is to screw you lesson by lesson.
The only way I can bring it to you is to screw you
lesson by lesson. The way that I can bring it to you is to screw you lesson by lesson. The way that I can bring it to you is to screw you lesson by lesson. Or should I say, hey,
I'm gonna tell you why. Just a second, man. Welcome back to the second segment of the hashtag Brothers of Baseball show, BGC Sports Network. It's your boy Willie Epting Jr. Checking in, man. Holding it down, rolling solo. The first two segments. Third segment, we'll be featuring, of course, the hashtag Sissy of Baseball, Leslie Duncan. She will be in here to discuss the Red Sox. Looking forward to that. Just in case you guys missed it in the first segment, history continues to be made in the United States as we talked a little bit about the ongoing trial of former president of the United States, Donald Trump, something that we have never seen before in this country. And the more we keep living, the more history we are seeing in the making. And depending on who you are and what side of the track you may reside on, or what side of the aisle you may vote, it could be either a travesty or it could be something that's momentum gathering for Trump and his team for the next election. Either way, to me, I don't care who it is. If you're guilty of doing any of these things that he's been accused of and indicted, and he's found guilty, he deserves every possible punishment that comes forth with the maximum that the law allows. And again, I don't care, Republican, Democrat, black, white, Whig, independent, does not matter to me. Conservative, liberal, doesn't matter. If you did it, you did it. And if you're wrong, you're wrong, period, point blank. And that's all I got to say about that. Also started talking about, well, I have my top 5 stories. No really sequential order, just top 5 stories from the first month of the season. Left off the first segment with that. So we're going to pick up that here in just a second. Before we move any further, this second segment, it is being brought to you by us. Who is us? We is us. Who is we? We is the Big Game Christian Sports Network. Once again, thank you. As we continue 10 plus years in the game. And we are the fastest online growing Christian sports network in the galaxy. So thank you guys out there for continuing to rock with us. Big things are continuing to come forth. Manifestations of dreams are coming true. And it just goes to show you, man, that your blood, sweat, and tears from all the grinding that you put in over the years, people may not say anything, but they are watching and they are listening. And for those that do watch and that do listen, we appreciate it. Those that of you out there that don't watch or that do watch and don't say anything, we appreciate you too. And for all of you guys out there that are continuing to say we ain't gonna do nothing, we thank you as well. Cosmos, that's what it is, man. The fastest online Christian sports network around. All right, big day. We got the power rankings coming up here in just a second. I'm gonna continue on with the top 5 stories from the first month of the season. And thank you guys out there, of course, for checking us out on Facebook, of course, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram TV, man. Thank you guys out there for rolling with your partners, your players, your folks. We appreciate all the love and support. So Mike Trout is one of my top stories of the first month of the season. And it's not because Mike Trout had gotten back to doing Mike Trout things, because that is what we expected from Mike Trout. But when I say Mike Trout things, you might have to insert the injury bug in there alongside his sentence, or his name rather, in the sentence, because he once again is out for the year. And I'm going to ask Leslie about this and when she comes on in the third segment. But to me, and you guys comment, let me know how you feel about it. I think Mike Trout's legacy is beginning to suffer. And it's not because of the fact that he's a bum. That's not it at all. We all know it doesn't matter what sport you're in or what activity you're in, or if you're at a regular job, your best ability is availability. And Mike Trout is easily one of the top 5 players in this game, but you always have to say when healthy. And to me, and it's not that I'm bashing the dude, I'm actually a fan of his, but it's just tough to see when you see one of the top players of this generation cannot stay on the field. And then when you can't stay on the field and you're continuing playing for a team that is like a very bad team, you have no chance of getting to the postseason where legacies are truly made. Ask Reggie Jackson, ask Alex Rodriguez, ask David Ortiz, ask Clayton Kershaw. And I'm going from one end of the spectrum to the other. Ask Kurt Schilling and Randy Johnson. Ask Pedro Martinez. Ask all these guys about what the postseason does for your legacy. And for Mike Trout, man, I'm worried about that cat, man. I'm worried about him. And now that he's out for the season yet again, if there was any possible trade at the deadline, that's out. It's gone. And a lot of people, like including myself, would love to see Mike Trout playing on a contender. Why not his hometown team, who we're going to get to in just a second? So that's one of the big stories. Another big story is the performance or lack thereof of some teams that made the playoffs last year. The Miami Marlins, and I said this coming into the year, they were one team that I did not expect to return to the postseason in 2024. But can we really say that we expected this out of a team that made a run last year into the postseason for the first time? And I don't know how many, well, if you count COVID, then yeah, since 2020. But before, if you don't count COVID, then it's been a while. And not only that, another part of this big story is that they traded Luis Ariz to the San Diego Padres. Now, Ariz has 2 batting championships in the National League, or he has 2 batting championships, period. So he's now with the Padres, and he's going to be probably at the top of the order for a team that already features Tatis Jr. and so many other players. We know who they are. But for the Marlins, what are you doing? And then they don't have their farm system is depleted. I don't know what to say about that franchise and how it's being run. So that's yet another story. And then another story, another big story to me is this. And this is not as much on the diamond as it is off. But these injuries to these pitchers, these injuries to these big name pitchers, I'm not understanding. And I was listening to, I don't know y'all know how I do it. I listen to a bunch of stuff. Now, do I believe a bunch of the stuff that I hear or listen to? Not necessarily, but what made sense to me was this particular outfit was talking about the spin rates on balls from these pitchers and how the analytics and the advanced statistics have really crept in and done some harm to these pitchers being able to stay healthy. I mean, big time pitchers. You have Spencer Strider gone for the year. You have Shane Bieber gone for the year. You have Sandy Alcantara from the Marlins. He's gone for the year, but from last year. And it's the Tommy John surgery because they're putting so much torque. It used to be where you would see a bunch of shoulder injuries from these pitchers. But now you're seeing all of these elbow ailments. And I'm not quite understanding if they're not pitching nearly the amount of innings that we used to seeing from back in the day. Why is it that they can't stay healthier? That's a big deal to me, because at some point it's going to make the quality of the game suffer when your big time players or your big time pitchers are not out there. It could make for some sloppy defense. It could get to the point to where we're going to be seeing games that are 12-10. And while some people may like that, I like it too, but I don't like it all the time. Number one, what it's going to do is going to set the game back a little bit in terms of how long the contest actually lasts. Because as we know, you got more outs to get, you got more time to get more outs, you got more pitchers coming in and out. It could just turn into a mess. And then my fourth of the big stories from the first month of the year is the Cleveland Guardians. I don't think anybody expected the Cleveland Guardians, anybody outside of Cuyahoga County. Shout out to Sapphire, Rachel, Kate, everybody up there in Northeast Ohio who I have the pleasure of doing shows with. I'm gonna ask you guys to come on at some point, because what's going on in Cleveland, as I just mentioned, without their ace at the top of their rotation, Shane Bieber, is astounding. It is simply astounding. And then my final big story is these umpires. Oh my heavens. Aaron Judge got struck out, got caught out on strikes on a pitch that was so far out of the strike zone, I thought that the ball was in another state. And he ain't the only one. And there's been a lot of that going on. And to me, all that is doing is ramping up the argument of having these automated, I guess, balls and strikes type of calls to replace the umpires at home in terms of calling balls and strikes. I don't want to see that happen, because it would take from the authenticity of the game, if you ask me. Nothing wrong with technology, but that's just something I don't want to see. And it is a human element that is a part of that. But man, when the human element becomes so much human error, something's got to be done differently. So those are my top 5 stories, not necessarily in any particular order, but those are my top 5 stories from the first month of the year. All right, it is here. The long awaited, the much anticipated, the much ballyhooed big day. Hit the music, because it is time for the power rankings. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The power rankings are back for 2024. Y'all know how we do it. First, top 5, I almost said first time guest. Anytime after that is family. I don't say that anymore. And this ain't for that show anyway. But anyway, top 5 American League, top 5 National League, top 10 in the majors. Hashtag Jabo just a bit outside for both leagues. Let's go and get it. We got 7 minutes left to go in the segment. All right, let's start off, of course, in the American League, because that is where my favorite team, the Oakland A's, are housed. And I'm not saying that the Oakland A's are in the top 5, but I will tell you this. Number 5, the Minnesota Twins. The Twins, who started out very, very slowly and then went on a win streak that rivals that of what the Los Angeles Lakers did a while back. It rivals that of what the New England Patriots did a while back. Well, maybe not so much, but what I'm telling you is that the Twins got off to a very slow start, and now they are prime and playing the way that many of us thought that they would play. My thing about this, my comeback player of the year, or one of my comeback player of the year candidates for the Minnesota Twins, was, of course, Byron Buxton. He's back and he's raking. Number 4, Bobby Witt, Salvador Perez, the Kansas City Royals. Say what you will about the Royals. They're not supposed to be here, but they have a good mesh of young talent with some veterans there. And look, they were on top in the AL Central there for a minute. Number 3, the team I just mentioned, and this team is actually on top in the American League Central, the Cleveland Guardians. And I don't know how they're doing it. I don't know how they're doing it. We've known for a while that their stalwart has been their pitching staff, but they've got some bats in that lineup. When you talk about the Naylor boys, you talk about J-Ram, and then Tristan McKenzie, who I believe is getting better and better. He's going to ultimately be, in my opinion, become a solid number 2 starter, if not for the Guardians, but for somewhere else in the league. All right, number 2, the New York Yankees. The Yankees are hot, man. I actually DM Colin Thoreau. He, of course, is on the coaching staff with the Yankees. I said, yo, man, y'all are off to a hot start. And he said, one day at a time. And then number 1, I had the Baltimore Orioles. The Baltimore Orioles, man, I love that team. I absolutely love that team. Anthony Santander. I think he hit a grand slam on Sunday, or maybe Monday. Adley Rutschman. I think they have like 7 players that have hit at least 5 home runs. All right. Back it up. Minnesota Twins, Kansas City Royals, Cleveland Guardians, New York Yankees, who's going to get Garrett Cole back here probably in the next 3 or 4 weeks. And then number 1, I have the Baltimore Orioles. All right. Top 5. I'm sorry. Let's go just a bit outside, Big Day. Hashtag Jabo. I've got the Seattle Mariners, even though they're on top in the American League West. I've got the Texas Rangers, the defending world champions. I've got the Detroit Tigers, who have a lot of great talent as well, and they got a World Series winning manager with A.J. Hinch. I've got the Boston Red Sox, more about that coming up in the next segment. And I've got the Oakland A's, baby. That's right. The Oakland A's are hashtag just a bit outside. Say what you will about the A's. Say what you will about the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. These dudes are balling. I understand they may be under 500 at take time. One game under 500 for this team at this point of the season. Nobody saw it coming. And not only that, they have the best closer in the game in Miller. All right, let's move over to the National League as we are running. I'm not going to even get to my doggone did you see that? But here we go. Top 5 in the major or in the National League. Number 5, the Chicago Cubs. Number 4, their division mates, the Milwaukee Brewers. Number 3, the Atlanta Braves, who just got swept by the team that's ahead of them. And that, of course, is the Los Angeles Dodgers. Number 1, the Philadelphia Phillies are doing the doggone thing. And since Bryce Harper has come back from paternity leave, this dude is on fire. I mean, straight up on fire. And what it is Zach Wheeler has put himself in the conversation for National League Cy Young Award considerations at this point in the year. All right, running back, Chicago Cubs, Milwaukee Brewers, Atlanta Braves, Los Angeles Dodgers, and the number 1 team in the National League, the Philadelphia Phillies. Hashtag Jabo for the National League, big day. I've got the Washington Nationals. I've got the aforementioned San Diego Padres. And I threw the Mets in there for safekeeping. I don't know if they're going to be able to sustain this for the remainder of the year. Of course, we never know what's going to happen. The trade deadline seems to be already a topic of conversation due to what the Padres and the Marlins did with Luis Ariz and, of course, the prospects that went from San Diego to Miami. So we'll see. But here's the thing, too, about the National League. And you see what's missing. The Diamondbacks are missing. The Giants are missing. The Marlins are missing. These teams, well, for the Giants anyway, 2 years ago, they won over 100 games. The Marlins, of course, that we already talked about, went to the playoffs last year. And then, of course, the Diamondbacks, we know what they did. They were in the World Series before they lost to the Texas Rangers. All right, real quick, we got less than a minute to go. Top 10 in the majors, big day. Here we go. Minnesota Twins at number 10. Kansas City Royals at number 9. Chicago Cubs, Milwaukee Brewers, Atlanta Braves, the Cleveland Guardians, New York Yankees, Los Angeles Dodgers, Baltimore Orioles, and the number 1 team in Major League Baseball for the first unveiling of the power rankings of this 2024 season, the Philadelphia Phillies. So when you look at it from this standpoint, you have Philly and Baltimore. They're about an hour away from each other, or they're a little bit further than that. I'm sorry. You have the Dodgers, and then you have the Cubs and Milwaukee. They're in the same division. You have the Twins, the Royals, and Cleveland all in the same division, all making their appearance in the top 10 in the majors. All right. That's going to do it for the second segment. Y'all come on back on the other side. The hashtag Sissy of Baseball joins me, Leslie Duncan. We're going to talk about those Red Sox. Big day. Dopest engineer in the game. Baseball fans all over the planet. Y'all come on back and holler at us.